Continuing the same task as last time. Fixing some build system issues. Let's go ahead and announce that I am streaming. I am getting close to finishing up the Dark Eyes Battlegate editing, so then there will be announcements on my server other than the streams, things other than streams. I have no idea why I was there, that's fine. So, I need to modernize on Wiiboards, everything. Just everything about on Wiiboards. Look at this. The initial import, October 7th, 2020. I haven't touched it in 4 years. Well, it's time. Yeah, they're just a single file. Okay. And I don't have a make clean rule. Incredible. Incredible. Right, so what I want then, even though this is going to be a little bit extreme for the requirements, on the Bard apparently, I'm going to go ahead and make a TypeScript version that has the a bundler with it and all the usual stuff. Oh, right. Okay. So let's see, I'll need TypeScript, I'll need rollup, I'll need the CommonJS plugin. No I don't. No, I don't need the CommonJS plugin at all, but I do need the Node Resolve plugin, which might be Node-Resolve. Actually, I don't need the Node Resolve plugin because there's nothing to resolve. I need a TS config, preferably not one named .no. This actually needs to be, what, ES 2017, 2016? No, this needs to be ES6, this needs to be 2016. And, you know what, I just am using the wrong source here. This should be good. There we go. Strict, true, target, ES6, module system, ES6, module resolution, node. ES 2016, and I don't see why I would need 2016. Okay, and ahead of time, ahead of making any bad decisions, since this is going to be completely non-backwards compatible, going straight from 1.0.0 to 2.0.0. That should be fine. But, looking at this for reference, type source on Wiiboard, I can't type, .ts, exports. If you are using ES6 imports, then you should use on Wiiboard.ts. There's actually no reason to use the minified version in this context. Not TS, .mjs, and otherwise you should use on Wiiboard.js. I really can't type. I don't know what's wrong with me. And then I need to make a rollup config. Is it rollup.config.mjs? Yeah. So I certainly need node resolve. Come to think of it, I do need CommonJS, don't I? No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't know why I would. What is this? Maybe I do. Let's find out whether I do. Let's assume I don't. Pull node resolve from pull up again node resolve. Oh yeah. Oop, 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 oop. Okay. The input is always going to be source slash on Weeboard. I cannot type. Well, the reason I can't type is because none of these words mean anything. The output. So I have several, but very similar to that. So the one that's just named on Weeboard.js is going to be... How do I want to do this? Let me actually change my mind slightly. This will be .umd.js. I will name it explicitly, and the output name will be on Weeboard. Do I want to change that? No, I will just make an export default. Because this will be return EV, yeah, okay. Oh my god, I can't type. I just really want it to be a bard, what can I say? Okay, yeah, the format is ECMAScript. I shouldn't need a name for format ECMAScript, of course. And I also want a sort of non-specified one that's actually an IFI, because I still want IFIs to be a perfectly valid way to use it. Oh my god. I cannot type. And then the min version will also be an IFI. .min.js, thank you. B-O-A-R-D. And this one needs an extra plugin, which is Terser. Oopsie poopsie, that should not have been here. Should not be using Terser in general. Do I need node resolve? I have no dependencies. Why would I need node resolve? I have no dependencies to resolve. I think I had this conversation with myself already and it's not installed. Nope, I didn't. I think I had that conversation about CommonJS. I need no plugins, please. Yeah, I don't need to specify any... There are no plugins for this. This is a little bit too simple to need any plugins. But... Other than Terser for the minified version, that is. But I am not done yet, because I have not yet made this actually TypeScript. So, what I need is to have this be an export default. Here, I'll do this. Just export that as default. some internal documentation. Let me search for requires permissions to figure out how I yeah, okay. Getting the type system to be happy with me is going to take a bit of work, but you know, that's what happens sometimes. Okay. So for some reason, enable is like the first argument, yeah, is the actual name. Weird. Not really sure why I did that, but whatever. So this will be a record from string to Boolean for whether it's supported. This will be a record from string to Boolean for whether it's enabled. Why has my syntax highlighting broken down? How did I make it unhappy? Counterpoint, who cares? Enabling, I assume, is a promise. Yes, okay. So that is a promise, probably a void. Sorry, it is a record of a string to a promise of void. Hooray, that's readable. Requires permissions. Interesting. So this is also just a Boolean per subsystem. Fine. Now, to enable, it passes in a name here, which is... Oh, I see. So this is the subsystem to use. And then options, which I'm going to have to actually document. So options, auto. I don't know what auto means. It's been so long since I've written this code. It's clearly a Boolean. Right, this is an async function. And this returns a promise of void. Right, okay, so I do need... Okay, ooh, this is confusing. This dot enabling t equals the return from this async function call, which is going to be this. I don't like that. Oh, I see. Oh, I getcha. I see what I've done. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to make it a little bit less grotesque. I will hopefully fill this in due time. So there are no subsystems for the moment. I will start with no subsystems. My syntax highlighting has gone very stupid, and I'm not quite sure why. Often when the syntax highlighting has gone stupid, that means that I've made some kind of code mistake, and I just don't understand what's actually happening, but oh well. So I take this dot subsystems t dot enable ops. There we go. Oh, I just got something in my eye. I feel like I got chili pepper in my eye or something. It's burning, but I don't know where that would have come from. There wouldn't have been any on my hands. Oh, God, my eyes. Ow. Oh, it hurts. Oh, interesting. I actually check whether local storage is defined because this code is so ancient. Very funny. Oh, I see. Okay. What? Auto is an object? Oh, I see. I see. Okay, I understand. I understand. Auto is a record from string. I need to start defining the actual subsystems interface, or I'm going to really confuse myself here. So a subsystem needs to be able to enable. Enable takes options that are going to be of the type interface subsystem ops. For the time being, there's nothing there. And that should return a promise of void. I see. So all of this auto stuff is just to automatically enable subsystems. Maybe. Subsystem ops. And that will be set as nothing by default, but then if auto stir was actually set, then we say auto equals json.parse of auto stir. There we go. Being a little bit more typey, since I'm writing this in TypeScript after all. Apologies, you just heard a bunch of bumping. Not that anybody's listening, so. Okay, now auto of this subsystem equals the options. Then I can put it back in local storage. Odd. Why did I delete the enabling? I should have... Like, it would make sense to delete enabling if I had it somewhere else, if I had some other way of getting it, but the way I've written it, it can just re-enable. I don't think I want that. I think that was just a bug. Like, I should just be able to return the same promise. That's totally fine. Let's go ahead and do this in a way that does not involve redundant lookups. I have... okay, so disable disables it from the auto. Good thing I documented that. I would document the parameters, but this is ancient code and I barely understand how it works anyway, so... You know what? No. It's still a record of string. Subsystem options. And all we have to do is delete it. And then, yeah, if there's nothing there, then we just remove it entirely. Otherwise, we restring it from Okay, subsystem options at least contains auto, or at least optionally contains audio, which is an optional boolean. For the time being, that is all of the subsystem options, but essentially I'm going to have to make it like the intersection of all of the particular subsystem options. Okay, subsystems.gamepad. Okay, so provider submission supported. Oh wait, this is no longer like that. This is now a name type. Okay, if it's already enabled, then we just return true. I'll make this a default argument so I don't do that anymore. I'm betting that I'm going to get type errors around here. Oh, I didn't even check for the possibility of it being... Oh, of course, because I check for, support there. So I don't need to check for the possibility of it not being there. That's fine. There's a state that really ought to be underscore state. Go ahead and update anywhere that uses state to be underscore state. Beast. Okay. And poll should also not be named like that. I like to name internal things internally. Okay, so manual poll is a new option. But the very fact that manual poll is there means I should not name that as an internal thing, because you may very well be explicitly polling. Oh, I see. Oh, I understand why I have a .any now. You can tell quickly whether anything has been enabled. That's funny. Oh, interesting. I did promise.resolve true instead of promise of nothing. This should be a void, so like, yeah, nothing. I have a real fear that the gamepad stuff is not going to be in the documentation, and that would be unfortunate. Ugh, all of these vars instead of lets. Oh, button index string, that's cute. Otherwise, that should mostly be fine. Then my axe, then axes. MIDI input, there is a 0% chance that the MIDI subsystem is going to be documented. Or that is, that the types are going to be there. Once again, I used state in a rather silly way. Oh god, I used self. What have I done? Okay. Once again, I made this rather strange decision. I just lost it. There it is. It's already enabled. You know what? Surely this already... Yeah, okay. It implicitly does that from enabling. Yeah, okay. So I actually don't need to do this check. It's always going to do that, unless you, like, work around the actual stuff. Okay, so this can just be an async function. None of this nonsense. Okay, so enable does return true or false, but I wonder if I care. Like, am I actually using that for anything? In fact, I'm not going to do that, because what I should do is put this whole thing in a try block to simulate that. Yeah, because here I don't even use it. Here's what I'll do. Just because I said so. And that way I can be a little bit more consistent here. Ancient code. Ancient code. What? You know what? I'm faintly confused by this code, so I'm actually going to leave it like that, even though it's a little bit strange. Okay, that should all be consistent, and then, yeah, this just no longer needs to look like that. I don't care what the exception is, I'm just returning false. Okay. Cleaning up some ugliness here. Yeah, okay. I guess this is correct. It's slightly weird because I'm not checking for auto-t.auto, but it would never have been in there if it didn't have auto set. So it should actually be fine. And note that this is enabling without actually waiting for the promise, but that should also be fine. Now, there should be fewer error messages, but still many error messages. Oops, I explicitly said this is a promise of void, and then I changed it. I changed my mind. Let me just make this line a little bit less long. That's not true. It's not enabling. I mean, I understand where it's coming from there, because I never said that there could be missing fields in this record, but, like, of course there can be missing fields in this record. I guess I have to say or undefined explicitly because it's in strict mode. Well, I know that it's not undefined. Oh yeah, and it's not a promise of void anymore. Hooray! Oops. Indeed. I think they're both keys. Or both keys. I think they're both strings. Yes. Yeah. Not too surprising. So it actually has get gamepads, which is good because that's going to help with a lot of the typing. But did not have WebKit get gamepads, which isn't too surprising. That is the older interface. Yeah, okay, kind of figured that. So, what I need... yeah, I need to figure out what type this thing is. No, not like that. I need to figure out what type this thing is. Wait, vey. I wonder if I can search TypeScript types just on the open internet. Like if I search for this, this is a Chrome extension function with TypeScript stuck next to it, and we'll just see whether that works. Well, I found MDN. I was really looking for TypeScript types. I mean, a bug is something. You know what? Generally speaking, it tries to stick with the names from W3, so whatever this returns, it should be consistent. So gamepads. The hell documentation? Okay, it's just a type gamepad. I guess I don't know what the hell I expected. Okay, so, but this is actually taking a button, so I need to look in the gamepad type for buttons. Gamepad button. I don't know what the hell I was expecting. Obviously. And this is obviously just a number in the old interface. Oh, it actually knows MIDI. That's so interesting. Okay, that should be sufficient to suppress all errors about ev.data not being set. Indeed it is. Okay, I didn't give the state a type. Fair enough. So this is just string to string? Is note? Yes, note is a string, so... Oops. No, it's not string to string at all. This is, oh, that's interesting. It didn't get a type from here. I guess, in a sense, that makes sense. This is, oh god, this is nasty. This is string to record of string to string. Gross. Adding types to a system that never had types in the first place is always quite grotesque, but then you don't mind them when they're there. Like, they improve things from their presence, even if adding them could be a bit of a pain in the ass. What was the actual error message there? This is Leah's. Oh, I know what happened. Yeah. Dot subsystems. Yeah. So I changed up how that works, and similarly, it should be dot subsystems here. Look at that, it compiles. Okay, I see. Yeah, this has that same issue. I remember wondering what the heck context of this was about, and that's just like a TypeScript competing with rollup kind of situation. There we go. Let's see if these all look plausible. So here is, yeah, this is a iffy, so it's just as one big function, as it should be. This is the minified iffy. This is the module system, so it should still have an export in it. I genuinely don't know. I don't understand. These, like, default exports always get, the syntax is so weird. And yes, this is the UMD version, so fine. Okay. Now, in the package config, I should tell it that to build, you do tsc and rollup-c, and to clean, you do make clean, This is a very strange make file. I'm just writing it this way because I'm so accustomed to using make to compile things. So having a make file helps me. Yeah, so that's the only JavaScript file there. I can get rid of the entire dist directory. Ah, license text, I see. I shouldn't... Yeah, the license text is mandatory. Cannot just remove it like absolutely everybody else always does. Yeah, I removed it here because the polyfill is actually under a license that doesn't require including the license text. Let's see how I tell rollup Terser to keep certain comments. Okay, so it looks like it probably just takes normal Terser options, yeah. I am so confident that I'm just going to search for regular expression. My confidence was correct in that it's definitely going to use a regular expression for the comments you want to keep, but it also uses a regular expression for absolutely everything else. There it is! A regular expression string. Okay, that's what I needed to know. Oh, this is actually documented correctly. So what is comments under? Format. Format, comments. That's not confusing at all. Okay. Oops, that's already open. And now, even in the Terser version, that should stay. I no longer need a separate license file. Okay, I did update that for the current date. Slightly out of date. Super cool. And if I check in here, yes, even in the minified version, slightly like indented in a weird way. I didn't know it would do that. That's very odd. But it's indented, but it's still there. And in everything else, it should just be there because there's nothing to remove it. I'm actually, like, genuinely confused why it ended up indented. Yeah, okay. It must just be rollup itself that was like, well, this is all going in an iffy, so it should be indented. Very odd. Now, if I do git status, it's going to be rollup set with me. I'm going to commit a sin with this particular repository. I'm just putting it all in. I'm putting the built source, the original source, it all goes in. Everything, the whole pile, it all goes in. Okay, there's the original JavaScript. There we go. Short commit message for a repository that I haven't touched in years and years and years. So main uses it. Proc uses it. That's very strange. And UI impl uses it. How many random things do I have open in the background? That no longer has to be an extern. Right. Not putting that in the right place. So now, hopefully... Yes, it's all there! It's all documented! It's not all documented. The manual polling was not correctly documented and will not be there. Oh, do I usually put... Which order do I usually put these in? This is not the order I usually put these in. I usually put the local ones first and then the remote ones later. Putting the local ones first comes from C. It really doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's a good idea in C. So it can no longer be undefined because it's just input. There's nowhere for it to be. So this can now be under subsystems.gamepad.poll. That's still not going to work. I need to fix it. No big worries. Unlike before, this will now have documentation. It'll have types. It'll actually check whether I'm effing it up. It should have an error. This should not just blindly work because it should be trying to get... What? It is so bizarre that that is failing now when it succeeded before. That is genuinely really strange. Okay, EC default hotkeys is not part of this. I wonder... ES 2015, this is also ES 2015, isn't it? Yeah. So why didn't this... I mean, this is in strict mode, right? So why didn't it complain? I'm gonna refill my drink and think about it. Upon careful consideration, I have two possible answers for why. Yeah, it would have been in the DOM side. Upon careful consideration, I have two possible answers for why it would be going wrong in this way. Possible answer A is it's gone mad, and possible answer B is my TSC version. I'm definitely using 5, aren't I? So that's like, yeah, that's a majorly, that's a spicy TypeScript. Okay, hopefully with a newer TypeScript, it will not complain in that particular way. There we go. Oh, but I'm still... well, maybe it'll complain later. Oopsie poopsie. Oh yeah, the hotkeys library is something else entirely. I think I accidentally removed a declare let that I just shouldn't have, basically. I assumed that the hotkeys and the Ennui board were related, and they are, in that the Ennui board is how it gets certain kinds of hotkeys, but they're not in that it's 2 different subsystems. I don't like I don't like the fact that TSC didn't complain. TSC should have complained. There is a flaw somewhere in the types if TSC didn't complain. I realize that, usually you want things to work, but in this case, the fact that it didn't work is a little bit distressing, because the question is, how does it know that this is a valid function? Dot subsystems dot... Does it just not know anything about subsystems? Oh! Wow, that's so interesting. I will bet that if I go like this... Have I just, like, broken TypeScript in an unusual way? If this presents an error, then that's like a bug in TypeScript. If it doesn't present an error, it's also a bug in TypeScript. It's just a bug of a different sort. Oh, wait, unless... Okay, wait. I remember temporarily setting that type to any. Did I never fix it? I even have a comment that says what it should be. Whoopsie poopsie. That also, I didn't think that, like, I thought this should have complained more than it did. I was like, it was weirdly easy. There we go, that's more like it. Now that's what I call an error. I see. That either returns false or undefined. Okay, so I think, weirdly, what I have to do is this, and then it will allow it to have more fields, which is what I want. Property requires permission is missing. Oh, Requires permissions. Requires permission. You know what? Let's just be consistent. It is weird. I've got requires permissions in one place. Oh, in fact, I'm positive I was doing it wrong. I'm positive the original version would have been busted. There's definitely somewhere where I was getting that wrong, so let's just... I think the logic was requires permissions. The plural was actually require, not permissions, but it got confused. So this is odd, because what I really want... Maybe here's what I do. Gamepad subsystem. Gamepad subsystem equals that, and then I'll set it like that, and that way it is. So what's happening here is it's trying to sort of shoehorn this object literal into the subsystem type, but I actually want the object literal to be allowed to be a subtype, and I don't quite know how to tell it that it's allowed to be a subtype. So instead, I'm just forcing it not to shoehorn it. Oh, I see. I didn't give it a default get gamepads. Fine. Type of navigator dot get gamepads. What? What? Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like pretty sure that navigator.get... Sorry, I think I just blocked my mic. I'm like pretty sure that navigator.getGamepads' type is not like a big OR of all of the types in the known universe. Because this is the correct type, and I got that from navigator.getGamepads, but then is not assignable to... Like, what? Why do you think that's what you're trying to assign it to? Oh well, I'm just gonna use the type as written and not try to use type of to get cute with it. Oh, I see what happened here. I see. I wasn't naming a type. Yeah. I was getting confused because because some of the syntax is similar, but I was actually naming a field. Yeah, and similar for query button. It feels really strange in strict mode to cast undefined to that, but I think that should be allowed because I said it's an optional field. Now this, I just want to force. So I'm actually just going to Ennuicast it, because this is just the weird side case that it's like not actually doing the right thing at all. What? Oh my god, it never worked. It never worked. Given that that can never have possibly worked, my inclination is to get rid of the old version entirely. Because the old version never worked. So, like, I would be adding a feature to add support for an old version that was clearly never used because it doesn't work. Okay, so this is now navigator.get gamepads. And then you know what, I am still gonna use a query button function. I'm just gonna use this, because that way I don't have to rewrite this crap to have dot value is greater than 0 or dot pressed. It's just a weird thing. Okay, and the state, I did not give a full type. So this is another record of string to record of string to string. Oh, interesting. I guess it's just true or false for each button. It's not actually... I hope I'm consistent with that, but if I'm not, I'm about to find out. This is why you document your types. Oh dear. What an absolute clusterfuck. Yeah, I've just got like an absolute like nightmare of possibilities. So let's just set it to the empty string, and then it will become that state. Oh, I see. I'm using... Okay. I really should have a separate button state and axis state. Because the buttons are just up or down, and the axes actually have a range. Do I really need a button state and an axis state? That feels a bit silly. Because I surely don't... How does this actually work? So if the state was already set... okay, I do need both. It's not so much about the, it's not, there's three states, but it's really just positive, negative, zero. But you know what? The best way to represent a three-state that's positive, negative, zero is a number. So I'll just use it, okay? I'll just use it. Okay. If it's not in the button state, then it also won't be in the axis state. Slightly weird that they happen to be B and A, but I wrote B before A. I'm just using Nintendo ordering, what can I say? It's just because it has absolutely nothing to do with B or A. It's just about, they're just abbreviations for button and number, button and axis. I'm definitely missing a few cases of these, but if you catch them, don't you worry about it. TypeScript will catch them too. So I guess that really is just a Boolean, and I'm just sort of driving myself crazy here. So the button state is truly a Boolean, as I very originally thought it must be. And I was just getting confused by all of this key dispatching and such. Bam. You know what? Make. You know what? Not make. Now, if I simply attempt to recompile again, it should be using the new version, and now this should actually get an error. Yes, believe it or not, I was doing all of that to make it fail. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Now I need to actually add poll to the type, to the, to the types for subsystem. Should poll be a void? Should it be a promise of void? Let's make it a promise of void. It's not necessarily ideal for it to be asynchronous, but... you know what? Never mind. Never mind. Change my mind. It'll just be a void. Now, the problem with that is that only the gamepad has a poll, but here is how you solve that problem. Ta-da! Quite a polling function. Let me actually make that look a little bit more like a member function. There we go. And that should fix this error as well. That's a bit unfortunate. Yeah, I didn't actually rebuild. I don't like the fact that rollup is really slow. I mean, I do like the fact that it shows me I have a circular dependency. That's, like, genuinely very good. I like that a lot. But, there are many things not to like about rollup as well, such as the fact that it is hilariously slow. What happened here? Is the answer Dark Reader? Yes, okay. I was like, what the hell is this? The answer is Dark Reader did something weird. If this loads at all, I will be incredibly delighted. It sure doesn't seem to be loading at all, though. On Weeboard, default is undefined. It's unsurprising that that failed. Huh. I'm not 100% confident that export default is... I literally have no idea what export default does, let's be honest. I really don't like export default, so I don't know why I'm doing it. Is it export default equals EV? Is that the way? No. Okay, screw this. I don't like export default, so I don't know why I'm being so persnickety about it. This will be faintly weird because in the iffy versions, it is now on Weeboard dot on Weeboard, but I'm fairly confident it wasn't working anyway, so... Do I care? No. And I simply have to change this to this. Hopefully this will resolve whatever weird... just defaults. Just don't use import default, or don't use export default. I'm sure it works. I'm sure it can be made to work. But the fact that ECMAScript 6 has like 6 different ways of exporting things from modules is part of the problem, not a solution. It is what we call bad. You like totally sure about that? It's possible that I neglected to export anything. Yes, it is. Yes, it is extremely possible now that I think about it. Export cost on Weeboard. And in fact, you know what? Let's go crazy. Let's export our interfaces too, just in case anybody wants them. There we go. Yeah. Why is rollup so slow? I mean, this is like genuinely maddening. It should not be that slow. I'm so expecting it to fail that it's already have this open. Wait, why would you be using default at all? What the hell is this? This is like the previous on board still somehow stuffed in. That wasn't modern on board, that was madness. On board should not be a function. Oh god, it's an iffy. Where did it even get an iffy from? But yeah, I mean, like, big thing, this is copyright 2020, so this is obviously not... Where have you managed to find this iffy? Like, genuinely, where did you pick this up? Oh, wait! It's in disk now. That was an ancient version. That is the answer to that question. Okay. There we go. That seems a little bit more plausible. Yeah, export stock on WeBoard equals on WeBoard, and this is getting assigned. Oh, I see. Okay, on WeBoard is here, so it starts out empty, and then presumably that's being passed in. What? To be resolved later. Very confused.